Welcome to a special episode of Fastpitch Focus. I'm Jason Andera, and this week we'll be covering the state tournament in Aberdeen in Class AA, A, and B. It's going to be a lot of fun seeing which teams rise to the top over a 3-day span. And we're going to start by covering each and every game, giving you a profile of each team, and giving you some of the top players to watch in this tournament. Let's start in Class AA, where the tournament will be held at Kohler Hall of Fame Field in Aberdeen. It's a beautiful stadium on the campus of Northern State. And here's a look at the bracket. Lincoln will host Yankton in the first game of the day. Even though this is the first year of sanctioned softball, Lincoln is the defending champs from last season. I talked to their head coach, Trent Dlugosh, about their matchup and their expectations for this tournament.
Yeah, I think sounds like coach speak or whatever, but I think that all 8 teams, I don't think anybody's excited about playing anybody at this tournament. I think anybody, it's, and it's a one-time deal. We're used to a double elimination event before, and now it's one and done. So it's a little bit different, and I think there's no games off for anybody. I don't think so.
No, it is a strong field. It's got to be nice, at least knowing you have Madison Evans rolling for you, though, right?
It is, yeah. Anytime you have a pitcher like that, she'll keep you in games where maybe you don't deserve to be in the game, but she manages to keep you in it. She's done that a lot for us, so it's nice to have that. Yeah.
Let's talk about your lineup a little bit. You've obviously Lubavitch and Christensen, and that you get a lot of the stars, but it feels like you can turn the whole lineup over with confidence.
Yeah, and we've I feel like the lineups kind of extended as the year went on too. We dealt with some injuries. We still have one injury where Addie Roths has not been able to play all year. She blew out her knee in the first basketball practice of the season. So she was a contributor last year as a freshman, and we were kind of counting on her, obviously, and she hasn't been there all year. And then Caitlin Ham was hurt. She just came back. She's played the last about 7 games for us. But her offense really extends the lineup for us also. And we got some contributions at the bottom from whether it was Marissa Riddle at the bottom or it was Reese Hussman down there. We sort of look at that 9th spot as being a second leadoff for us to really set the table for those girls that you talked about, the Kira and Nora and Madison and Avery and all those girls. So
here's a look at that matchup. Lincoln takes on Yankton. They played before back on May 16th. It was a close one. Lincoln won 5-4. So even though it's a 1 versus 8, this is a wide open field, and Yankton definitely has a shot. Didn't play their best ball at the end of the season, but got a great win in the SODAC 16 qualifier over Rapid City Stevens, so they're feeling pretty good right now. And here's a look at the comparison. Very similar hitting teams. The pitching is where Lincoln feels like they have the advantage with Madison Evans going in the circle. The 4-5 matchup, Jefferson takes on Washington, and Jefferson is a team that you really have to be careful for. They started off the season, like a lot of teams, not knowing exactly who was doing what, who was playing where, but boy, have they straightened it out. 11 consecutive wins for the Cavaliers. They come in 15-4, and they face Washington, another team that has been really solid, especially at the plate, hitting .412 as a team this year with a lot of power. This should be a really fun matchup in the 4-5 matchup. Following that one, the 2-7 matchup, Harrisburg takes on Brandon Valley. And Brandon Valley, a really young team, but they are peaking at the right time, 10-6 on the season, and they're a team that eked by Watertown in the SODAC 16, but I think a lot of people feel like they have a lot of potential. Harrisburg has been at or near the top of Class AA all season long, finished with a 17-3 record. They've been doing it with Cora Payne in the circle for the most part, and at the plate hitting over .440 and 23 homers, so a lot of power in that Tigers lineup. And Macy Bryant and company have been pounding the ball this year for the Tigers, so they're going to hope to continue that here at the state tournament. 3 versus 6 matchup, maybe the best first day matchup. We've got Brookings, who has been absolutely spectacular. Even in their 3 losses have been all close this year, and O'Gorman has turned it up in the second half of the season and has proven to be one of the best teams in the state. The last time these two teams played on May 9th, Brookings got the 1-0 victory. We should see a dandy between Kira Mentally and Gracie Adamson, 2 of the best to do it inside the circle. And I look for this one to be a very competitive game right off the bat. You're going to need to know some of the top players to watch in this tournament. Ellie Fieser has been hitting the ball for Yankton. Brandon Valley's Keaton Jensen has done an excellent job. How about Gracie Adamson, not only at the plate, but in the circle with Morgan Norgard and Morgan Lindstad also crushing the ball for Brookings. Let's look at O'Gorman. Kira Mentally, Karsten Schlimgen, Olivia Tobin, all hitting well over 400. And you see Schlimgen's 6 home runs and 30 RBIs, one of the top power hitters in the state. Jefferson's lineup is absolutely loaded. Kendall Kniffen, Sydney Tagto, Emma Bowie, and Ashlyn Johnson all crushing the ball this year for Jefferson. You see the 5 home runs from Ashlyn Johnson. I look for this team to be one of the top hitting teams in that 3-day tournament with Whitney Porter in the circle, who has really started to command her stuff. Lincoln has some excellent players, including, maybe the top hitter in the state, in Kira Lubovich. She's hitting .604 with a couple of home runs and cleans off the bases consistently. Nora Christensen, another torrid hitter right now for the Patriots. And then Madison Evans, we talked about her a little bit in the circle, maybe the top pitcher in Double-A right now. 91 innings pitched, 172 strikeouts. She has been lights out. Washington brings Emma Hensley, Isabel Sarda, and Tierney Schramm to the plate, along with Ava Brink. These are maybe some of the most powerful hitters in the state, all in the same lineup. They can rip it. 5 homers on the year for Sarda, 4 for Schramm, 3 for Brink. They go up and down the lineup with gap-to-gap power. Watch out for the Warriors. For Harrisburg, Macy Bryant, crushing the ball with 8 triples on the year. But how about Hallie Bohr? 8 homers, and Malaya Knutson as well with 7 home runs. So, again, look for Harrisburg to rip the ball all over the field. Let's move to Class A now, where Dell Rapids comes in as the number 1 seed. Yes, I understand Dell Rapids lost to West Central in the regular season, and West Central didn't lose a game. But the way the seed points worked, the strength of schedule worked out for Dells. So even though Dells is the number 1 team, I believe West Central comes in as the favorites. But Dell Rapids still comes in as the number 1 seed. And we talked to their head coach, Theresa McMahon, about the season that they've had and the matchups they're expecting in the tournament.
It's nice to have that number 1 spot, and you're playing the 8th seed in your first round. But to us, really, it's just another game, another chance to go 1-0, and hopefully get to that championship and see the team that beat us this year. So the games that we've had that we knew we were going to have to really dig in and just keep scrapping for 7 innings, we've kind of let ourselves sit back on our heels the first couple innings of those games and take a little extra time to make adjustments, which some games it's played out for us, and then our game against West Central, we're just a little too late to make those adjustments. And so I think we're more hungry than anything to get at it and kind of make those adjustments sooner and compete sooner and kind of throttle the whole game instead of waiting to hit the gas. So they've all competed at a high level. They've all played softball for a good majority of their lives. And so getting them out on the field, giving them the chance to just go play, have fun, represent their school. And that's really what they're doing. They're just choosing to have fun and choosing to step out on the field and make every day count. And win or lose, they're going out and giving it their all. And that's been fun to see.
So here's a look at the bracket. And Dell Rapids gets that 1 versus 8 game to start the day. They come in with that 11-1 record. They are ripping the ball. .479 hitting as a team. The ERA is tight at 2.02 with a strikeout and a half per inning. So they get Lennox. Lennox is a team that got the only upset, taking out Winter in the round of 16 to get here. You see the losing record, but you can see the potential. They hit over 400, and they're a team that has a lot of seniors, so they hope they can cause Dell Rapids some issues. The 4-5 matchup is Madison versus T-Area. They played back on May 1st, and Madison won the game 8-3. T area with really good depth on the team, but Madison comes in with Amanda Vacanti, one of the best players in Class A, and she does it from the circle and does it at the plate. Watch out for her. The 2-7 matchup is West Central versus Beersford. And West Central, what more can you say? They're hitting over 500 as a team, and their ERA at 2.17. They are lights out, and they get to the matchup with Beersford, who last time they matched up with West Central lost 14-1. But this is a team that's been getting better and better throughout the season. I look for them to make some progress from that matchup that they had back in May with West Central, but West Central still the heavy favorites. The 3-6 matchup features Dakota Valley and Elk Point Jefferson. Two teams from the same part of the state, two quality teams. Elk Point Jefferson has done a really good job hitting the ball this year, and Dakota Valley, they've been playing more games than anyone else in the state and getting a great performance from a lot of their players, including Logan Miller, who's hitting .667 this year. And that brings us to our players to watch from Class A. Brenna Dunn out of Beersford is their main pitcher and hitting over 500. We talked about Logan Miller, more runs than anybody else in the state right now. Dell Rapids up and down their lineup. Almost every player you could mention as a player to watch. Look at J.C. Tebay, though, hitting .677 with 9 home runs, and then in the circle, 2.01 ERA and a whip under 1 with 77 Ks. She has been excellent, but Katie Cavigny has also been good, so they share innings between Tebay and Cavigny, and both of them have been outstanding for Dell Rapids, and the lineup has just been crazy. Elk Point Jefferson, we talked about those hitters. Sophia Giorgio, Grace Griffin, and Josie Curry, 3 of their best in the lineup, all hitting over 500, all with extra base power. Lennox's Aaliyah Nicola, .618 average with a couple of home runs, tons of extra base hits. She's one to watch for. Amanda Vacanti of Madison, we already mentioned her, .686 batting average, 15 home runs at the plate this year with 38 RBIs. I don't know if there's anybody that means more to their team than Amanda Vacanti does. T-Area with a deep lineup. Callie Boom, Addison Hansen, Jillian Arp, Skylar Haynes, just a few. All of those players ripping the ball. You see there's several home runs on this team. Haynes with 4 and another 4 for Addison Hansen. And Hansen also does the pitching for the team. Shares the duties pitching for the team, but a 3.20 ERA and well over a strikeout per inning. West Central is another team with players to watch up and down their lineup. Maybe none better than Caitlin Hoff, who could be the player of the year, hitting .652 this year, and then in the circle a 0.27 ERA with 58 Ks in 26 innings, so more than 2 strikeouts per inning. She's put 8 out of the park. With 30 RBIs, Caitlin Hoff has been outstanding, but we'd be remiss not to mention pretty much the rest of this West Central team with Jocelyn Nilsson, Izzy Parsons, Emily Stofferin, just to name a few, and Stofferin, another one of those players who can do it pitching and do it hitting. She also has 8 homers on the year. In Class B, here's a look at the field. The bracket is set. This one had the fewest teams, but some strong teams at the top of this bracket should prove to make some really competitive games as we come down the stretch to see who's going to win the title. In that bracket, the 1 versus 8 battle is Alcester Hudson and Hanson. Alcester Hudson hitting .437 as a team, and maybe the most powerful pitcher in Emma Moeller going at it in the circle. The 4-5 game features Bonhomme and Gayville-Vallen. Bonhomme has been a surprise this year. First year playing softball, and they have come out swinging, hitting .307 as a team. But Gayville-Vallen, another team that can really crush the ball, .483 as a team. Andrea Miller with 8 homers on the year, leading the middle of that lineup. I'd say Bonhomme has the edge pitching. Gayville-Vallen maybe has the edge hitting. They've played twice this year. Bonhomme won early in the season 17-7, but when they played again in late April, much closer, and Gayville-Vallen got the win 3-1. So they split during the regular season, We'll see what this 4-5 matchup has in store for Thursday. Arlington takes on Viborg Hurley. Viborg Hurley came on much stronger in the second half of the season. They're hitting .343 as a team, going against Arlington hitting .364. And Arlington feels like they have some power up their sleeve. They've got lots of players who can get it done in the gap-to-gap situations and can hit all over the field. Pitching, Arlington feels like they have the advantage. 1.6 strikeout per inning rate. They'll try to keep the Viborg Hurley team off of the base paths. In the 3-6 matchup, Castlewood takes on Dual. This is one of the more even games as far as record goes, but Castlewood has been the team that's crushing the ball at the plate and really has one of the best pitching teams in the state. Watch out for Castlewood, a 1.13 team ERA, and that includes some games that they've played against Class A competition. So the Warriors feeling confident with the 3 seed, but Dual has been known to beat some good teams and has some confidence going into the state tournament. Let's take a look at the players to watch in Class B. Reagan Smith of Viborg Hurley hitting .484 with a couple of dingers on the season. How about Olivia Kaiser of Hanson hitting .568 with 18 extra base hits? We talked about Andrea Miller of Gayville-Vollen, but a .658 average and 8 homers. She had that 4 home run game earlier this year. One of the premier power hitters in the state. Michaela Harmon of Dual only played in 8 games, but what an effect she had on the Dual team when she played. A .652 average with a couple of home runs. Watch out for Harmon. Castlewood with 3 sluggers right in the middle of that lineup. Mackenzie Everson, Madeline Horn, and Sophia Kudina, all hitting over 400. And look at Mackenzie Everson's 3 homers on the year, hitting .583. A lot of power in the middle of that lineup. Kennedy Kozak, the leadoff hitter for Bonhomme, hitting .382 on the year, also doing it in the circle with 71 Ks in 58 innings of work. Let's move to Arlington, where Harley Johnson is hitting .438 with 10 extra base hits and 4 homers on the year. But it's Brenley Goebel leading the team in hitting with .535 average, 21 RBIs. And Taya Clausen has been the pitcher in the circle, had some really tough competition this year, including some games against Dell Rapids, but still had a tidy 4.51 ERA and 100 Ks in just 57 innings of work. She can also do it at the plate. Alcester Hudson, maybe the deepest team in the state right now, maybe one of the youngest teams in the state too, but Ellie Daring hitting .567, Paxton Moeller .528, and Delta Pies hitting .500. All with power to go over the fence if they can. And then Emma Moeller hitting .455 at the plate with a couple of home runs and one of the best to pitch not only in Class B but in the state with a 2.02 ERA and 143 Ks in 62 1/3 innings pitched. Well, that'll do it for this episode of Fastpitch Focus. We're going to be at the tournament in Aberdeen covering as much as we can, so we hope to bring you highlights next week on Fastpitch Focus.